Who's ready to vote for change?
This has got to be the biggest political gathering of the 21st century.
Carney is new. I would say that Canadians still don't really know much about him, but they observe in him kind of the antithesis.
If we form government, if Canadians give us that trust, we then serve all Canadians equally. It's a sacred honor.
Did Trump just accidentally save Canada from a political meltdown? In a twist that nobody saw coming, the orange guy who loves slapping tariffs on everything just gave Pierre Poilievre a free ticket to the Prime Minister's office. Mark Carney was ready with his big boy pants on, planning to fight the big bad Trump and his scary tariffs.
He has shown over the last year that he can get enough Canadians to support him to form a majority government, and in some cases it would have been a very strong majority government.
Unquestionably, Pierre Poilievre has had a string of really good back-to-back-to-back days. He's putting real policy in the window. I think that has real purchase with everyday Canadians.
One of the reasons why polls suggest that Mr. Poilievre is losing this election right now is he has been slow to recognize that the ballot question is Donald Trump. Well, when you're talking about crowd sizes...
But now Trump's like, Canada's cool actually, and Carney's just standing there holding his shield with nowhere to point it. Talk about awkward. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
I think if we looked at the public opinion polls right now, we still see a lot of opportunity for the Conservatives, especially when it comes to that number about desire for change. I think the Conservatives need to keep leaning into asking that question about whether he actually represents change or whether he's going to continue to just drop policies that are unpopular at the moment.
I personally don't think pivoting in a campaign is a bad thing. I know that the Conservatives pivot and then
word of the campaign.
That's
actually.
right. No kidding. Like Conservatives do a.
So here's what happened. Mark Carney had this brilliant plan, or at least he thought it was brilliant. The Liberals were rubbing their hands together thinking Trump was going to be their secret weapon in this election. Carney and his team cooked up this whole defender of Canadian interests strategy that was supposed to make him look like Captain Canada with a financial calculator instead of a shield. Talk about putting all your maple leaves in one basket. Carney wasn't just dipping his toe into this anti-Trump strategy. He dove in head first. Behind closed doors, Liberal strategists were practically doing happy dances every time Trump mentioned the word tariff on Truth Social. They were manufacturing what one might call faux patriotism.
The program, which airs on Radio-Canada, gets nearly 1 million viewers each and every week. Liberal leader Mark Carney and Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre both faced tough questions on the show, and the stakes were high. But ahead of those two debates, the leaders of the two front-running parties, Pierre Poilievre and Mark Carney, took their message to voters in battleground Quebec. Both appeared last night on a major French-language talk show.
Conservative leader is clearly the more comfortable of the two when he's communicating in French. But the questions were very uncomfortable for Pierre Poilievre right off the top of the...
You know, the kind where you pretend to be super Canadian by talking about how you'll stand up to the big, scary Americans. The beauty of the plan, in their minds anyway, was its simplicity. Step 1. Trump threatens Canada with tariffs. Step 2. Carney swoops in with his banker superpowers. Step 3. Grateful Canadians shower him with votes. It was political theater with Trump cast as the villain without even sending him a script. Carney's team had this two-pronged approach that was honestly pretty clever on paper. They'd promise to kill the carbon tax to win over folks who were sick of paying more at the pump. Then they'd pivot to the whole, I'll protect you from mean old Trump routine.
The show, he was asked why his campaign isn't doing better, and they didn't get really any easier. The interview concluded with questions about how his campaign has been treating the media.
Campaign gold, right? Every time Carney stepped up to a podium, you could practically see the thought bubble over his head. Please let Trump tweet something nasty about Canada today. The Liberals weren't just hoping for tariff threats. They were practically praying for them. Nothing brings voters together like a common enemy, especially one with unusual hair and a spray tan. Meanwhile, Trump's down in Florida, probably playing golf and eating fast food, completely clueless that he's supposed to be the bogeyman in this Canadian political drama. The man who tweets about everything somehow missed his cue to start a trade war with Canada. It's like waiting for a hurricane that changes direction at the last minute. You've boarded up all your windows for nothing. The funniest part? Carney was using this whole "I'll stand up to Trump" narrative as a smokescreen to avoid talking about the stuff Canadians actually care about, like how they can barely afford groceries or how finding an apartment requires a second mortgage these days. Then came the plot twist that nobody in Canadian politics saw coming. Trump, the guy who slaps tariffs on countries like their Twitter insults, somehow forgot to include Canada on his economic hit list. While China and the European Union got the full Trump treatment, Canada was sitting there like the kid who didn't get picked for dodgeball. Except this time, not getting picked was actually a good thing. Donald Trump, in his infinite wisdom, or more likely complete randomness, decided to spare Canada from his tariff tantrum. Can you imagine the emergency meetings at Liberal headquarters? Guys, Trump isn't being mean to us. What do we do now? Their whole campaign strategy just went up in smoke faster than Trump's McDonald's order. This bizarre tariff exemption left Carney standing in the political ring with his gloves on, trash-talking an opponent who didn't even show up to the fight. It's like preparing an elaborate comeback to an insult that never happened. Awkward doesn't begin to cover it. Meanwhile, Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party were probably popping champagne bottles behind closed doors. With the Trump bogeyman suddenly neutralized, they could redirect the conversation back to what Canadians actually care about. The research tells us Poilievre was suddenly free to emphasize policies such as reducing taxes and lowering the cost of living. You know, the boring stuff that actually affects people's lives. The Conservative strategy shifted brilliantly as the narrative of tariffs and trade wars was overshadowed by a renewed emphasis on issues directly affecting Canadians' daily lives. Translation: while Carney was frantically searching for a new villain to fight, Poilievre was talking about your empty wallet and ridiculous rent. What makes this even funnier is that Trump probably made this decision without giving Canada a second thought. The man who once couldn't tell the difference between Finland and Russia accidentally created a level playing field in Canadian politics. As the research points out, this allowed Poilievre to capitalize on this shift to position himself as the candidate for change. The Liberals' whole "will protect you from the Orange Menace" sales pitch collapsed faster than Trump's Atlantic City casinos. Suddenly, voters weren't asking about international trade policy. They were asking about why their grocery bills look like phone numbers. Talk about an inconvenient pivot. So this is how the cookie crumbles in Canadian politics. With domestic issues now front and center, Pierre Poilievre is sitting pretty like a cat that got the cream. The Conservatives are ready to pounce with their message about fixing the economy and being responsible with money. Stuff that actually matters to regular Canadians who are sick of Liberal promises that go nowhere. The experts are even saying we might see a sweeping Conservative majority if things keep going this way. Pretty wild how Trump accidentally helped reshape Canadian politics just by not being a jerk for once. Talk about failing upwards.